I got an email on Sunday from a client that we have completely ripped out the interior of their roughly 5,000 square foot house to the studs. The demo crew was there on Saturday to make up a little extra time, and when they dropped the sheetrock ceiling lid, the ceiling had blown in insulation, and the insulation just dropped all over the floor, which, by the way, had been demoed. It's just existing subfloor, but got all over the floor. The demo crew finished dropping the ceiling, got all the sheetrock debris out. They didn't take the time to get the insulation out on Saturday. They swept it into a big pile in the middle of the floor and decided Monday they would come back, they would bring the vacuums, they would do a full cleanup, everything would be nice and tidy. However, we have a client that's living in an ADU on the property, so is there daily, which, as we all know, creates a series of challenges in itself. So got an email in a concerning tone. Hey, the sheetrock insulation is everywhere. It's, if you know, this sheetrock insulation is like this small fibrous, basically like little cotton swab. It's the blown-in type, so it's a wool and fiberglass blend. And any slight wind, anytime you brush it with your foot, it just gets kicked everywhere. It makes a huge mess. So they, in a concerned tone, basically said the insulation is everywhere in the house. It is blowing outside of the house. It's in some of the planters right outside the front door. And we're just really concerned that the insulation is everywhere. And I don't, of course, in the client's eyes, this is a huge deal. They ended the email with, I don't know why they wouldn't have picked it up. But I think we should meet Monday morning so you could take a look at it. And of course, we're all builders and we've been doing this a long time. In my mind, my instant reaction is, oh boy, okay. I'm gonna go spend 2 hours Monday morning basically telling you that it's no big deal that insulation got everywhere. And probably by the time I'm done telling you that it's no big deal, the insulation crew will have, or the demo crew will have been there, cleaned up their mess, made it spotless, and no harm, no foul. However, it really brought to top of mind these little client interactions that happen, and how something that might be trivial to me or to other builders really mean a lot in the client's eyes. And it makes me reflect a bit on, how I could structure my organization, or we can structure our workflow to eliminate as many of these little mishaps as possible. We could have easily given the directive, hey, if you're going to be there Saturday, why don't we, stop at the 6 hour mark of demo, even if we don't finish 100% of what you think you're going to accomplish. Stop at 6, clean up for an hour, hour and a half, roll up your tools, go home. Let's just keep the job site tidy on a daily basis. And I know this is tough with subcontractors and with our own internal crews, because we want to get to the job, we want to work, and we want to work a full day and get done what we want to accomplish. However, we tend to forget that there's always a client tied to the project. They're emotional, it's their home, they want to see things in an orderly fashion. And really, how the job site's left at the end of the day is a real reflection of who we are as a builder, and more so who the client views us as a company and as a builder. So started thinking about that, and just about how clients' needs, although sometimes can seem needy, annoying to us. I know, a lot of us builders have gotten lost sight of the client is always right, because we always run into these little things that don't affect the project so much. We know on a macro level the project pushing forward, everything's going to be fine, and you're going to be happy at the end of the day. But these interactions along the way really mean a lot. And I think, going back to that client focus, client is always right, managing client perception is huge. I had another scenario, and it really changed the way that I view how our trades and how our craftsmen in-house manage their workflow and how they service the client's needs. doing a large walkthrough on a construction project we're doing, and we're to the point where we have electrician in. He's 2 weeks from being ready for rough-ins. We have the plumber nearly complete. HVAC is 100% done. Fireplaces are set. So basically, we're prepping for 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to be doing a comprehensive walkthrough and putting insulation in before drywall. During the course of the walkthrough, very off the cuff, client mentioned, I would really like to have an attic access in the master bath closet for the his side closet. And okay, great, we're in the meeting, we're taking notes as we always do, and put it on the to-do list. We just keep a quick to-do checklist on notes so that myself, the PMs, other subs can be shared these to-do lists. And they're really to-do lists of, we're gonna get to this at a certain point, probably at the insulation walkthrough before we're gonna get rough and signed off. We're gonna then go into insulation, but pre-insulation, we're gonna do a comprehensive walkthrough to make sure we have our niches, we have our backing for towel bars, etc. Any pickup framing, any flooring that needs to get patched in, just the odds and ends that we all know going into insulation, wanting to tidy up the framing. And at that point, is seemingly when we would do this attic access. However, I got a follow-up email a week later, and here the caveat is it's easy to take emails out of context, and I'm positive this wasn't an annoyed email or a angry email, but the email nonetheless said, hey, met, walked the job, looked at a few things on Friday. I think I got the email Monday. I wasn't there for the walkthrough Friday. It was just the owners doing a walkthrough on their own, and she brought to my attention that we hadn't done the attic access and questioned if we missed it. And of course, we didn't. It's on the to-do list, as is everything. Not to say that things don't get missed at times, but, it was an item noted in a walkthrough. Yeah, we're absolutely going to do it. However, I didn't want to just respond to the email and say, no, didn't miss it, on the to-do list. It's going to happen at some point. It, again, made me think about the client's perception of the project and the little things that can go a long way and how I want to handle those in the future. And I think the best plan of action in that scenario would be to, number one, take a step back and realize that the client has their own set of values when it comes to the project. My set of values, what's macro? What do we need to get done in the next 2 weeks? What do we need to get done in the next month? What do we need to get done in the next 3 months? So that I can hit my 12-month timeline to finish a house, 14-month, 18-month, whatever it is. We all have our charts, we all have our schedules, and we want to stick to them. And a lot of times it's easy to lose track of the little micro things that along the way mean a lot to the client. So, when I think about it, when I'm walking through with a client and I'm asked, hey, can I add this attic access here? That then becomes, in the client's mind, a number one priority item. Only because they've identified it, now they've requested it, and every time they go back to the job site, they might not know the 100 things that are happening to push the macro project forward, but they do know that a week ago they asked you about an attic access, and hey, it's not done yet. What's going on? And subtly, they might question, does that speak to, the general organization of your builder, of us? Does it speak to, the relationship between us and the client and whether we take seriously the things they ask us? And again, albeit minor, can be communicated it's going to be done in a future date. But just imagine if we, same day, next day, got one of our crew, got a subcontractor, spent the 15 minutes it would take to head out an attic access in the middle of 2 joists. It's just joist, headed out, done. So that the next time the client walks the job, whether it's the next day or 5 days down the road, they immediately see that what they requested was done, albeit minor. To them, it's not. And that goes a long way in building client trust and just building a solid relationship where the client trusts that you have their best interest in mind and you're listening wholeheartedly, not blowing them off and saying, hey, not part of the key task flow right now. We're gonna get to it. Yeah, I mean that. These two scenarios just made me realize how, over the course of a project, you could spend what total 20 hours maybe doing these little tasks that clients might request. And if you do them promptly, those things matter way more to a client than, hey, we might be a week behind on rough plumbing and insulation is going to be a little late. Yeah, that's my thoughts.